Hello, my name is Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of June 14th, 2016, and one Chuen or monkey in the Mayan Zolkin calendar, with Venus entering Cancer, the second Sagittarius full moon, the solstice with the sun entering Cancer, and Chiron turning retrograde. June 14th is one Chuen or monkey, and it carries the themes of new beginnings, good fortune, innocent curiosity leading to artistic expression, mischief similar to coyote spirit and the trickster gods of many native traditions, generosity, the jack of all trades, weaving the threads of time, craftsmanship, and wisdom keeping. One monkey is the 131st day of the 260-day Zolkin calendar, marking the beginning of the second half of the round. The calendar starts with crocodile as the primal nurturing energy for beginnings. And then the second half begins with monkey, the artisan who creates something new. But these are really arbitrary points, as many different Mayan groups celebrate different days to begin the Zolkin round, and ultimately it's just that. It's round like a circle, having no beginning or end. The one monkey trisena is a good 13-day period to be generous with your creativity, wisdom, and curiosity, and also a time to help others explore new beginnings, and in doing so, discover something new in yourself. Before I get into the daily energy for one Chuen or monkey, on the 14th, all the planets appear to be moving direct from our vantage point on the Earth, with the exception of Mars, Saturn, Neptune, and Pluto, which are appearing to move a retrograde or in reverse motion. And remember, the themes of retrograde planets are review of the past, reevaluate, reminisce, and we can see these themes being played out. Mars represents our drive and aggression. It began its retrograde in Sagittarius, but then Mars backed into Scorpio, the sign of its traditional rulership, on May 27th. While Mars is retrograde in Scorpio, the ethics of our actions are reviewed. Retrograde Mars can cause frustration as our energy to get things done is retarded, which can lead to irritability and aggression. Retrograde Saturn in Sagittarius delays success until perseverance and patience are learned. Sagittarius themes are travel, education, adventure, expanding our horizons, and planning for upcoming experiences. Saturn brings the details to the grand overview of Sagittarius. Saturn retrograde is a taskmaster that demands that we take responsibility to review our beliefs while in Sagittarius. And then Neptune retrograde is seeking transcendence through spiritual experiences. This will be a time to use spiritual practices to keep us grounded as we expand our intuition and consciousness. Both Neptune and Pisces, the sign which it rules, tend to be dreamy, imaginative, difficult to nail down due to their qualities of illusion and illumination, often without any real way to know which is which. They represent compassion and codependence, selflessness and loss of self, higher purpose and substance abuse. In their inspiration to transcend the material plane and experience something beyond words and thoughts. And then Pluto, the planet of transformation through death or rebirth, is retrograde, which is about reviewing the past, and it's a time of releasing anything in the past that is a burden to our new path. Pluto represents death and completion in Capricorn. This brings the breakdown of structures to bring about transformation. So the real big change during the monkey trisena is Chiron in Pisces is slowing to a stop as it prepares to turn retrograde on June 26th. Chiron retrograde in Pisces is about releasing stuck emotional energy so that we can return to the natural flow of life. Chiron is the wounded healer in Greek mythology. He was a teacher, healer, and astrologer to the gods. He was abandoned at birth because his mother objected to her son being half man, half horse, which was his first wound. When he was teaching Hercules to use Hydra's blood as poison, Hercules mistakenly hit Chiron in the leg with a poisoned arrow, which, because Chiron was immortal, he didn't die, he just suffered the pain of that wound every day of his life. Chiron eventually traded his life to have Prometheus released from in his imprisonment for stealing fire and giving it to the human race. Retrograde Chiron has us reviewing our wounds so that they can be released by having the courage to open our hearts to any fear or pain associated with the past. When Chiron is in Pisces, people are willing to sacrifice their individual pain in hopes of finding bliss in universal consciousness. At worst, this can be manifested as folks justifying their victimhood as some form of martyrdom. This would be transcendence and surrender without losing ourselves in the experience. The last time a Chiron was in Pisces was from 1961 to 1968, which was a time when Uranus and Pluto were merged in Virgo, planting the seeds for the squares between Pluto and Uranus that finished exact alignments last year, but whose influence we'll be experiencing for years to come. At that time of the last transit of Chiron through Pisces, there was a growing drug culture as people were looking for a shortcut to transcendence. The retrograde aspect brings a longing for lost love. It's the memories of our losses. It encourages us to return to look at our core wounds and bring them to the surface so that they can be healed. Another trap of Chiron and Pisces is codependent relationships, where the focus is on healing others rather than ourselves. Chiron will turn direct at the end of November, so this time of exploring the depths of our psyches will be with us for months to come. So let's look at the daily vibrational energy for this trecena. On June 14th, it's one Chuen or monkey, unity experience through creating something new in the Mayan Soul King calendar. And we have the sun in a sextile to Uranus. So from our perspective here on the Earth, this is a 60-degree angle between the sun and Uranus, which makes the day more interesting from having encounters with others being more illuminating to enlightened experiences while moving through our normal routine. This stimulates our curiosity and imaginations. Folks are quick-witted and conversations are lively, but they also may be less tolerant of any restrictions. This influence is more important to be true to your authentic individual self than meeting other people's expectations. Excuse me. I'm not going to be covering the daily lunar activity in these reports other than new and full moons, but that information is available on the New World Birth daily Facebook post and also on the New World Birth blog on Blogger. The 15th is 2 or road duality experience through serving your community, and the sun squares Chiron, illuminating our wounds, psychological and physical, so that we can consciously address what needs to be healed. It opens our hearts to bring understanding of any difficult truths within us. June 16th is 3 Ben, or reed or corn, which is about taking action through maintaining the home in the Mayan Soul King calendar. The 17th is 4 Ish or Jaguar, which is about stability through enjoying nature. And at this point, we have Venus entering into Cancer, which is romantic and sensitive, but also practical. Cancer is about the home and family, and Venus is about love, beauty, and socializing. So it might be a nice period to entertain in the home between the 17th and July 12th. This may influence us to cook more, as well as taking care of those we cohabitate with. Also on the 17th, Saturn squares Neptune. So from our perspective here on the Earth, Saturn is forming a 90-degree angle with Neptune. And this is part of the mutable Grand Cross that we'll be talking about, have been talking about, and will continue to talk about. I'm particularly going to talk about it related to the Solstice report. Saturn square Neptune brings uncertainty and confusion. It blurs the details of everyday life. The best way to cope with it is to make life as simple as possible. Folks will be questioning all aspects of their life, their ambitions and goals, and whether they are attainable or even whether they're worthy of those pursuits. Saturn has them question whether the universe is against their achieving their ideals. This can be a time of insecurity, pessimism, disappointment, discouragement. The world we believe is grounded in reality is changing as structures dissolve, rules vanish, people question what they thought they could depend on, as what once seemed solid is washed away. Neptune can bring a disillusion and the desire to disconnect through substances to avoid the Saturnian hardship. The other way this may work out is that our dreams, represented by Neptune, could over time, with effort, become a reality, represented by Saturn. The Saturn-Neptune squares will blur limits, boundaries, structures, laws, security, responsibilities, oppression, and government. Just remember this is temporary, although it is influencing us for most of 2016. Try not to let the negative thinking undermine your hopes and dreams. This will eventually lead to a very constructive period based upon the new understanding that comes about through this process. And then June 18th is 5 Men, or Eagle, empowerment through seeing from a higher perspective in the Mayan Zolkin calendar. The 19th is 6 Key, or Wisdom, being in the flow through introspection, meditation, and forgiveness. June 20th is 7 Kaban, or Earth. This is a reflection through the gratitude for Mother Earth, while we have the second Sagittarius full moon at 29 degrees 22 minutes, opposing Venus and the Gemini sun. And full moons are a time of tension, as the sun in Gemini is about balancing thought, self-expression, which can include imposing a point of view on another. And then with the moon in Sagittarius representing a wider perspective of philosophy and mental expression. Of all the oppositions, the Gemini-Sagittarius polarity is really the least challenging to integrate. Gemini brings curiosity to help Sagittarius' quest for wisdom and knowledge. We have Venus in opposition to this lunation, which can bring pleasant energy for enjoying sensual experiences and rich foods, with a caution against overindulgence. Overall, this full moon is optimistic and sees the big picture, although there are those there that will people who will express their beliefs as truth under the inflated Sagittarius moon. They may have even been two-faced with the Gemini sun. With Venus adding to the tension, overindulgence may also be a factor. An open mind will help to navigate these individuals if they are present in your environment. For Native Americans, this is known as the full strawberry moon by the Algonquin. It's also associated with the season of harvesting strawberries. In Europe, this is known as the rose moon. Also on the 20th, the sun then enters into Cancer. So imagining that this is the Earth and this pointer represents line of sight, at this point we have moved along our orbit, so that now the sun is being presented against the constellation of Cancer in the tropical system, which this brings the summer solstice in the north and the winter solstice south of the equator. The sun in Cancer illuminates security and emotional well-being. If you planted an intention during the equinox, how is it growing? Do you need to weed something out so that what you intended has more room to grow? The charts of the solstices and of equinoxes have long been used to forecast the energy of the coming season. So we have the sun entering Cancer at 6:34 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, just less than 12 hours after the full moon. And at that moment, the sun begins to move into Cancer. We have Mercury in Gemini, Jupiter in Virgo, Saturn in Sagittarius, and Neptune in Pisces, forming a challenging, mutable grand cross. The mutable signs wrap up the seasons that they're associated with. So this solstice chart really emphasizes the importance of completing what has begun as we begin a new cycle. And we've got Mercury in its own sign of Gemini, and Neptune in its own sign of Pisces, which, excuse me, it brings confusion to communications and thinking, but also influence it for studying spiritual subjects. We may become aware after the season that the secrets and controversial information, that were withheld should have been shared because their absence led to confusion and manipulation. Saturn square Neptune can influence the upcoming season by obscuring what once seemed solid and stable, creating doubt and confusion and hiding limitations. The Grand Cross will be in effect during the entire report period and heralds that events over the next few months will be better understood after that time has elapsed. And part of that mutable Grand Cross are the following two alignments. On the 20th, we have Mercury in opposition to Saturn. So from our perspective here on the Earth, this is a 180-degree angle between Mercury and Saturn, which brings about serious thoughts concerning our relationships to the world. We will want to consider how to meet our practical needs. This transit may have us feeling isolated as we are more inclined to look with a critical eye at our personal relationships. This is not a time to act on those thoughts because our thinking gets distorted by this transit. What we consider our troubles may seem significant, but over time may diminish as the transit moves on. Our thoughts benefit from positive thinking to overcome this pessimistic energy. This may have us thinking about separating from a loved one or saying goodbye to a relationship, but wait to act because Mercury opposed by Saturn can really distort our perspective. If you can control negative thinking, you can see this as an energy to plan changes as you will have a more critical eye for what is not working. This also can bring discipline for heavy mental work. But remember to take breaks so that your mood doesn't get pulled down in the process. Older people who you respect would be good to talk to if you're needing to get something off your chest. And then also on the 20th, we have Mercury in a square to Neptune. So this is a 90-degree angle between Mercury and Neptune, which can confuse communication, but also favors creative, spiritual activities. Watch out for exaggeration and boasting, and some will cross over into outright lying. Mercury is also communication, and in an aspect to Neptune for a day or so, it has the potential for confusion about the details of mundane daily events, but a wonderful aspect to connect with spiritual realms through being in nature, meditating, and engaging in inner work. It also favors creativity and imagination. Overall, it's best to carefully formulate exactly what you wish to communicate because if it could be misunderstood, it probably will. Daydreaming is to be expected under this influence. It's really not a great day for negotiations or signing contracts, as these activities will not be clear under this Neptunian fog. And the 21st is 8 et Snob or Flint, which is about balance through being introspective in the Mayan Soul King calendar. June 22nd is 9 Kawak or Storm. Patience experienced through recognizing the gifts in adversity. And then we have another aspect of the immutable Grand Cross coming to exactitude with when Mercury is square to Jupiter. So from our perspective here on the Earth, this is a 90-degree angle, which usually brings feelings of optimism and positive perspective regarding life. People are inclined to set long-range plans or goals for the future from a place of seeing the big picture. But this is also favorable for business deals and commercial transactions. If you're unaware of this transit, you could overlook the details that are important to the creation of your overall grand vision. Also be careful about communicating to others in a way that may be seen as being arrogant or self-righteous in tone. Awareness is the key to working with this energy, so don't let this much optimism lead to sloppiness and overlooking important details. The 23rd is attend a how, or sun, manifestation through honoring the wisdom and memory of our ancestors in the Mayan Zolkin calendar. June 24th is 11 Inish, or crocodile, resolution through nurturing new beginnings. The 25th is 12 Eek, or wind, understanding through communication. And June 26th is 13 Akbal, or night, movement to the next stage through contemplating the stars. While we have Chiron turning retrograde, which has us reviewing our wounds so that they can be released by having the courage to open our hearts to any fear or pain associated with the past. If you find yourself recalling painful events or situations between now and when Chiron turns direct on November 30th, it's advisable to remain conscious while dealing with these uncomfortable feelings, as they will reveal a path to healing and letting go of what no longer serves us in our upcoming journey. Also on the 26th, we have Jupiter in a trine to Pluto. So from our perspective here on Earth, this is forming a 120-degree angle, which can be a very positive, bring very positive changes to your personal and social relationships. This is a time when it's easier to exert power, so it's important to know why and for whose benefit you're making changes. This can be bringing opportunities to take control of some aspect of your life, but the changes should be motivated by something beyond your own personal ambitions. This transit will benefit you most when you can join the interest of others with your own. This also helps to revise and reform aspects of your life to bring some type of regeneration and renewal. And then also on the 26th, we have Mercury in a sextile to Uranus. So from our perspective here on the Earth, this is forming a 60-degree angle, which brings new discoveries and new people into our lives with an overall sense of excitement and innovation as Mercury interacts with its higher octave planet Uranus. Flexibility is helpful to experience this transit in its excitement and interest. If you find this disruptive, you may want to examine your attitude regarding deviating from the preordained plan for the day. This is good for looking at old patterns that have troubled you in the past with fresh eyes. Challenges may be approached as new puzzles to solve as thinking becomes more inspired. It's really not a day where you're going to be content to follow your usual routine, so leave some room for spontaneity with new ideas and experiences being the reward for going with the flow. So no matter what energies are affecting you during the one monkey trisena, just take some time to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature, watching a sunrise or a sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the motion of the moment through introspection, meditation, or being with somebody you love. Every day we have really is a blessing, no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. We're all here giving the performance of a lifetime on the world stage. Just take some time to observe your play as well as acting your part, remembering that you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of A Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on June 27th for one Con or Seed or Lizard, with Mercury entering Cancer, Mars turning direct, and the Cancer New Moon. You can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, or the Mayan Magics website. There's New World Birth available on all those places. I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose, and invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. And I am providing readings and do wish to make this service available to the greatest amount of folks. So there are 3 options and 3 levels of compensation for the basic readings I provide. I also provide other readings for your solar return or long-term transits like Chiron or Saturn returns or Uranus oppositions, as well as relationship readings. So if you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. And you can make a donation by contacting me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com, and I'll send you information about how to do that. And we are definitely at a point where the future of New World Birth is in question. This is really would be the time that if you've been thinking about getting a donation or thinking about getting a reading, it could be very, very helpful right now. As always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and look forward to connecting with you in the future. All my best to everybody.